Josh King was first introduced to audiences on season 23 of American Idol. He has drawn both supporters and detractors for leaving a lasting effect on spectators. Nevertheless, a few fans have shared the reasons behind their emotional attachment to the hopeful idol. Josh King, a native of Matthews, North Carolina, has experience playing the piano in airports. He tried out for American Idol in Nashville, Tennessee, and was accepted. King gained the 2 votes required to join the program, despite Carrie Underwood saying no. With songs like I'm Still Standing by Elton John and Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley, he has been leaving an effect on fans ever since. As previously noted, King's tenure on the show has elicited a range of responses. Before performing Never Gonna Give You Up, King said in an interview with USA Today that, "I was convinced I was going home. To at least have one final significant moment on the show, he actually picked a song that became very popular." Soon, though, supporters would emerge to show their support for the artist. King's admirers are revealing why they are beginning to adore him after seeing one of his recent performances. "I truly connected with Josh King's All By Myself performance," an admirer wrote on social media. "I know that at times I felt alone, and this song reminded me how much we really need to connect with people," the fan went on. "I understand what Josh has gone through." Many admirers expressed agreement with this viewpoint. "I can too," one fan wrote. "I felt a lot of sympathy for him. He claimed to have never had friends like this before, and I adored how the other competitors had become so close to him and one another. I adore the competitors this year." This attitude was expressed by another admirer, who said, "Yes, I cried while he was speaking. I could identify with him. After the season is finished, I genuinely hope that at least some of them stay friends with Josh and one another. Everyone has the right to discover who they are." Other admirers commented on how relatable they thought King was. Others wanted to provide their thoughts on King's performance. Among the remarks were, "Because of his geeky nature, I already related to him a lot, so it was heartwarming to learn that he has experienced much of the same loneliness that I have. Over the past few months, I've been feeling a lot of loneliness. His story was really motivating, and I am so appreciative that he shared it. I can also sympathize. Since we either drift away or they simply go without telling me why, I've never really had a long-term buddy. It may be rather isolating at times. Yes, the performance was incredible. I also thought his The Longest Time was great. He is by far my favorite player this season. This season, I definitely relate to him the most. There's a strange charm about American Idol's stage lighting. They shed light on the unadulterated sensitivity and emerging aspirations of those forced into the public limelight in addition to vocal prowess. Even if the stage has been visited by many aspirants, some of them have an impact on the audience that goes beyond their captivating grins and powerful vocal runs. One such artist is Josh King, whose name reverberated across living rooms and internet forums when he was on the show. His path was more than simply striking the correct notes. It was a story that developed with sincerity, tenacity, and a subtle charm that won over people's hearts. It raises the issue of why Josh King has such a deep and enduring appeal to followers. A combination of elements, his relatable past, his modest manner, his poignant performances, and the sincere feeling of development he's shown during the competition, will provide the solution. Josh King stood out from the first audition, in sharp contrast to the frequently contrived characters that characterize reality TV. He was a young man with a guitar and a voice that weighed the weight of life events. He wasn't a polished performer with years of industry experience. His biography, which he told with calm conviction, described modest origins, overcoming adversity, and the lifeline that music provides. This instant relatability was a strong lure. Instead of seeing a future celebrity, viewers saw a mirror of themselves or a person they knew. His tense enthusiasm, his sincere appreciation for the chance, and his sporadic blunders under extreme strain weren't flaws. Rather, they were charming human qualities that made him approachable. In a world full of carefully manicured beauty, Josh's genuineness was refreshing. The underdog story resonated with fans, who supported the regular guy with exceptional skills. It struck a deep chord with them to see a path of desire rather than entitlement. Additionally, Josh's behavior off-stage strengthened this bond even more. Dramatic outbursts and self-aggrandizing statements were not his style. He was respectful, modest, and always conveyed gratitude for the help he got. His relationships with the judges and other competitors were characterized by real friendliness and respect. This calm assurance, free of conceit, was both reassuring and alluring. Josh's grace and generosity were a stark contrast to the sometimes ruthless world of competitive reality television. The performer's honesty was evident to the fans, who felt they were getting a look into their personalities. Trust and admiration were generated by this feeling of true character. It was more than simply his voice, it was about the person he was, and as a human being as well as a competitor, spectators felt a sense of support for him. The performance is, of course, the centerpiece of the American Idol experience. Josh King really shined in this situation, not necessarily with flawless technique but rather with sheer, unfiltered passion. He had a remarkable capacity to infuse his performances with a deep sense of emotion, and his song selections frequently mirrored his own vulnerabilities and experiences. Josh was able to relate to the music's emotional core, whether it was an energetic song performed with sincere delight or a moving ballad that made the judges cry. The audience could sense that he was experiencing the lyrics as much as he was singing them. His renditions of well-known tunes demonstrated his ability to evoke strong feelings. He added his own distinct viewpoint and singing style to the material rather than attempting to imitate the original performers. This was more than simply singing, it was musical storytelling. Because they could relate to the song's desire, hope, anguish, and success, fans were captivated by the stories he told with his voice. These performances were communal emotional experiences rather than only amusement. Seeing their own feelings represented in his speech, viewers experienced empathy and compassion. This emotional connection was a strong glue that created a connection that went beyond just seeing. Josh King's apparent development during the tournament was one crucial element of his trip that cemented his bond with supporters. When he stepped onto the Idol stage, he was not a finished product. There were times when he appeared vulnerable, times when he was overwhelmed, and times when the judges gave him helpful feedback. Josh stood out for his readiness to pay attention, pick up new skills, and change. Supporters saw how committed he was to honing his profession, heeding the judges' counsel and applying it to his next performances. This self-improvement path was motivating. It demonstrated that hard effort, tenacity, and a readiness to take on obstacles were just as important to success as natural skill. There was a sense of collective success as Josh overcame the demands of the competition, showed resiliency in the face of failure, and became stronger and more self-assured with each performance. Supporters celebrated his triumphs as though they were their own, feeling involved in his advancement. They viewed his vulnerability as a sign of his bravery in putting himself out there rather than as a weakness. He changed from a competitor to a representation of tenacity and optimism as a result of this developmental trajectory. His accomplishments seemed very personal to many who followed him since his journey became a metaphor for the challenges and victories that individuals encounter in their own lives. Additionally, the American Idol online community was crucial in strengthening and extending the relationship with Josh King. Online debates, social media communities, and fan forums developed become gathering places for mutual support and excitement. Because of their mutual appreciation for Josh, fans were able to interact with one another, talk about his performances, make predictions about his future, and provide words of support. His journey took on a feeling of community as a result of this shared experience. Because of their mutual admiration for his skill and personality, fans felt like they were a part of something greater. Their emotional commitment was increased as a result of this online interaction, which turned passive spectators into active players in his tale. Another factor was how easily accessible musicians were in the digital era. Fans were able to feel closer to Josh thanks to interviews, behind-the-scenes videos, and social media engagements, even if the Idol structure keeps a certain gap between candidates and the general public. They had the impression that they were getting to know Josh King as a person, not simply as a performance. Even though it was carefully controlled, this familiarity created a sensation of closeness. Instead of merely supporting a TV star, fans thought they were supporting a buddy they truly cared about. It is impossible to exaggerate the significance of such performances. Some of Josh's songs, which were performed with his trademark honesty and emotion, became fan favorites. These were moments that struck a very personal chord. They weren't merely performances. Maybe it was a song that brought back memories of a past love, a challenging obstacle they had conquered, or an unanticipated moment of happiness. Josh's ability to use his music to connect with these common human situations left viewers with strong, enduring impressions. These performances evolved from a few minutes on television to a part of their lives' soundtrack, inextricably tied to the emotions they arouse. In addition to the emotional bond, Josh's artistry was also appreciated intellectually. His voice had a distinct tone and a soulful quality that was unquestionably appealing, even if it might not have had the technical gymnastics of some of his opponents. Supporters saw the undeveloped skill and room for improvement. They valued his ability to reinterpret songs in his own unique style, giving well-known material a new angle. The relationship was strengthened by this critical engagement with his music, which went beyond mere enjoyment to a deeper understanding of his profession. The intensity of the fan connection was further enhanced by the unpredictable nature of the American Idol journey. Every week was a fresh challenge, a chance for Josh to succeed or fail. Because of this innate drama, viewers were glued to the screen, curious about what would happen to him. The times of vulnerability were devastating, and the moments of victory were thrilling. Through the shared highs and lows of the competition, Josh and his followers developed a kinship as a result of this emotional rollercoaster. Supporters felt as though they were traveling with him, sharing in his joy and fears. Fans' strong bond with Josh King ultimately stems from a basic human need, the yearning to relate to something genuine and true. Josh provided a welcome dose of real humanity in a society that sometimes seems manufactured and staged. His progress was inspirational, his performances were poignant, his tale was accessible, and his manner was modest. He was more than simply a TV show competitor. He was a guy who opened up to the world about his hopes and weaknesses, touching the hearts of millions in the process. Josh King's relationship goes beyond his time on American Idol. His subsequent career has been distinguished by a persistent dedication to his own voice and creative vision, even if it may not have achieved the same degree of public penetration as some Idol winners. Supporting his songs and applauding his ongoing journey, fans who connected with him throughout the performance have frequently followed his career. The strength of the bond developed during his time on the program is demonstrated by this ongoing support. It was a sincere admiration for the artist and the individual, not only a passing curiosity. In summary, the deep bond that Josh King's admirers have with him is a complex phenomena. It is the outcome of his likable past, modest manner, emotionally stirring performances, and evident development. He tapped into a vast reservoir of human empathy and connection by providing a ray of genuineness in the sometimes artificial realm of reality television. Josh King's experience on American Idol was more than simply a contest. It was a story of optimism, tenacity, and sincere artistic talent that struck a deeply emotional chord with fans. Josh King was more than simply a vocalist on stage. He was a representation of the hopes and ambitions that we all harbor, which is why his fans still feel a deep connection to him long after the stage lights have gone down. His tale is a potent reminder that sometimes the most moving performances are those that are given with the greatest passion and heart rather than the ones that are technically flawless.